a Mental Health Monday Tuesday production. I hope everyone has been doing well. Today's topic is conversational narcissists. Let's first start out with the definition. The term conversational narcissist was coined by sociologist Charles Derber, who describes the trait of consistently turning a conversation back to yourself. A balanced conversation involves both sides, but conversational narcissists tend to keep the focus on themselves. The tendency is so habitual that they don't even notice or care when the listener tunes them out. Again, the conversational narcissist will hijack the conversation and in some cases make the other person feel insecure, unintelligent, or ignorant regarding a particular subject. Not only can you experience these types of people face to face, but in many cases, you've probably encountered them on social media. For example, you post something about a popular movie or even genre of music. The conversational narcissist will come along and write an entire dissertation on a similar movie or their favorite artist within that particular genre. Instead of simply saying, yes, that was a great movie, what was your favorite part? That's considered a supportive response. When someone responds in that manner, it validates your statement. Rather than rambling on about a different movie, the similarities, their favorite actor, etc., yada, 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 which is considered a shift response. That appears to invalidate your thoughts. Unfortunately, in our current society, especially if you've matriculated through academia, students are actually taught how to assert themselves in an effort to be seen. Let me repeat that, in an effort to be seen, but also as a way of competition. With the conversational narcissist, it is of utmost importance that they are seen and validated, possibly due to insecurities, social anxiety, as well as the thrill of grabbing the attention of those listening or watching. Lastly, there's the disconnection between leadership and professional mode versus personal mode and interactions. For example, people who are in leadership roles in any arena typically know how to command an audience. Unfortunately, this same method of communication can sometimes show up within personal interactions unknowingly. Ask me how I know. It's not that they are intentionally being a conversational narcissist. They've simply forgotten to switch or take off their professional hat. Additionally, we've all heard the term silence is golden. Well, in some cases, silence can be used with the conversational narcissist as a way to discontinue a conversation. A personal tactic of mine is to simply say, okay. Using the word okay after someone has gone on about a topic for an extensive amount of time typically signals to the person that you've conceded. Now, this can be perceived as invalidating, but it depends on the situation. When it comes to the conversational narcissist, it's always about them. In some cases, the easiest way to spot a conversational narcissist is when most sentences, whether verbal or written, start with I did this. I did this. I've done that. I'm going to do this. Again, it's about keeping the attention on themselves. We're going to move on. Get your bootstraps ready. Here we're going to talk about a few examples of the conversational narcissist that will give you a really good idea as to how the interaction may uh, go about and the differences between shifting the response and offering a supportive response. What we don't want to do is be viewed as the know-it-all all the time, even if we are knowledgeable on a particular topic. We don't want to become aggravating and annoying because that can cause some people to avoid being in your presence or engaging completely. We also don't want to come off as pretentious. Sometimes it's a difficult balance, but that depends on the nature of the topic and the person. So here's a few examples of shift response. John says, I'm feeling really starved. Mary says, oh, I just ate. How invalidating was that? John says, God, I'm feeling so angry at Bob. Mary says, yeah, I've been feeling the same way towards him. John says, I had such a great time in Orlando. Mary says, really? You should have visited Palm Beach. Me and the family went a couple of months ago. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, totally invalidating. John says, I made some greens using herbs and bell peppers for seasoning instead of meat. It was really good. Mary says, oh, I've been doing that for years because my family and I stopped eating meat a long while ago. You should try blah, 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 blah. Okay, now we're going to see the examples of a supportive response. John says, I'm feeling really starved. Mary says, when was the last time you ate? That shows concern. John says, God, I'm feeling so angry at Bob. Mary says, why? What's been going on between you two? Caring. John says, I had such a great time in Orlando. Mary says, that's great. What all did you do? It shows that you're interested. John says, I made some greens using only herbs and bell peppers for seasoning instead of meat. It was really good. Mary says, wow, when did you stop eating meat? Do you miss the flavor at all? Engaging. So now, do any of these examples sound familiar? We're going to move on. Before we proceed, let's talk about the conversational narcissist, which actually should be called maybe the conversational hijacker. Because the conversational narcissist may not, let me repeat, may not be the same as someone with NPD or narcissistic personality disorder. A conversational narcissist is only someone with a particular trait of narcissistic personality disorder. In order to determine if the person has NPD or narcissistic personality disorder, that can only be diagnosed by a professional after the person has been properly assessed, and the person must demonstrate many of the traits of a narcissist, not just the one we're talking about in this particular session. Although a conversational narcissist is somewhat common within our society, there are some ways to handle them and some ways to check yourself. Yeah, you too could be a conversational narcissist and not even recognize it. Let's go through a few things right here. Handling the conversational narcissist. Number one, be level-headed and calm and withdraw any form of support for them. If there is no energetic exchange, the narcissist or the conversational narcissist cannot win. This is how you regain your power and control and also your mental health. Number two, if the exchange is occurring face to face and they're being unbearably difficult, you can say you need a break and walk away. Number three, the conversational narcissists do not like silence. So become more comfortable with waiting, taking 3 deep breaths, and then stay focused on your breathing while maintaining eye contact. Now, if you happen to be the conversational narcissist, how to handle yourself. Be a better listener. Ask follow-up questions to show interest in what the other person is saying instead of using fillers such as interesting. Number two, monitor the amount of time you've been talking. It becomes more of a monologue versus a dialogue when you talk too much. Notice subtle clues in the people you're engaging with. For example, are they crossing their arms, looking at their phone, not paying attention? Number 4, give others a chance to get a word in early on so you can have a balanced two-way conversation. Number 5, refrain from saying, I know how you feel. You might think you're showing support, but that phrase is actually turning the conversation away from the other person's pain and over to your own. It shuts down that conversation. We don't want to do that. Moving right along. Although a conversational narcissist is somewhat common within our society, there are some ways to handle them and some ways to check yourself, as we just went through. So lastly, here are some signs of a conversational narcissist and a couple of things to always remember. Let's go through the signs first. 1, hoarding conversation time. 2, controlling conversation topic. 3, frequent interrupts or interruptions. 4, unempathetic listening. 5, excessive aggrandizement and self-praise. 6, false superiority complex. 7, know-it-all and unsolicited advice. And lastly, manipulation or using others as extension of self. And the few things that we need to remember would include a healthy conversation is cooperative, not competitive. Oh, let me repeat that one. A healthy conversation is cooperative, not competitive. Next, always remember, you can't change them. Don't even try. Lastly, always have an exit strategy, whether it's face to face or whether it's in writing. Learn how to get out of the situation so that you can keep your mental health intact. Most importantly, don't let the conversational narcissist take control. Learn how to counter their shift response or simply don't engage. No one should ever be made to feel invalidated on a consistent basis. That can ultimately affect your mental health. And we believe that your mental health affects your physical health. So let's make it a priority to have a happy, healthy, functioning mind. That's it for many minutes. Holla!